Hey guys, take a look at this. I found this at the side of the road during spring cleanup a couple years ago. I was just driving along, you know, that's back when the day, you can't throw electronics out anymore. Now everything has to go into the recycling center. But a few years ago, people would just put stuff out alongside the curb with their trash. And this piece I found, and as I drove around, I saw this turntable and I didn't think much of it, but I figured I'd go out. It looked like, oh, it's got a nice wooden base. Let's go take a look and see what it is. First thing I noticed is that, well, it was very heavy. Now, the cover's got some scratches, which is unfortunate. That was like that when I got it, but check this out. This is a Thorens TD full manual belt drive turntable, but it doesn't work. This is the belt drive turntable, and well, you know what it's going to be. The belt's going to be worn out or broken, or let's find out. So we lift the turntable platter off. This is actually a split table. We can actually lift, I like this because it's got a 45 RPM adapter in. So you just lift that up and turn it over, and now you can play your 45 singles. Cool, huh? In that position, it plays your LPs, and you just turn it over to play your singles. Isn't that neat? Okay, to lift off the table, we just simply grab it and lift it. And this piece here weighs about, I don't know, this is probably about 10 kilos. I guess it's quite heavy. This is what gives it its stability. And as we look at this, we notice that there is no belt on it. The turntable runs free because there's no belt going to the motor. Now, I have no idea what size of belt this unit uses, so I'm going to need to measure it. So let's get out our measuring tape. Now remember, in the past I've said you can use pretty much anything that you can just measure it with, and I mean anything. And in this case, I've used dental floss before. Works fine. Pieces of wire works fine. In this case, I'm going to use a piece of old telephone cord just because that's what I had lying around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread it around the pulley and around the turntable part here, just like it would be if it was a belt. We'll pull it in there approximately exactly how the belt would be threaded. And it comes up to right there. So then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it right at the length. So now this piece of wire represents the circumference of the belt. So now all I need to do is measure this, and then I can order a belt of the correct size. I'm going to go grab my ruler so I can figure out what size of belt I need to get. I know I won't have this belt, so I'm going to order one in, and we'll complete the video once the belt has arrived. Now I'm about to measure this thing with a yardstick. Yes, this is in feet and inches from the old co-op that was around back in the 1960s. To give you an idea how old this yardstick is, well, this was before Canada went to the metric system, and there's not even any mention of metric on here, but that's fine because our belts are still ordered in good old inches. This belt is going to be a 20, well, it measures 22, about 22 and a quarter. So I'm going to order a belt about 22 inches. I'm going to order a belt about 22 inches in circumference. Okay, I got the belt for this unit here. I was actually able to get one at the local shop, and I just happened to have a Saturday off this weekend, so I was able to go and pick one up. And we're all ready to go here on this one. Just gonna frame that up a bit so that the TV in the background isn't going to be picked up. I don't want to get any copyright strikes. So I just lift the platter off. And it's really easy to string the belt around on this. Just put it around the pulley. And, well, should be easy. Put it around the pulley. And around the platter here. And that's it. plug the unit in and make sure that it turns, which it does. Good, I got good torque. Here's our 33 and 45 RPM is selected. As you can see, it's just a lever that moves the belt from one position to the next. I just mounted a new cartridge on this unit as well because the cartridge that came with it was buggered up, so I just put a new cartridge on here. The needle was missing. Place the rubber sheet on for the turntable, and we've got a record here. This is more of how my records are. Some cat hair on it, but this is more of the record of more of the condition of the records of my own. I haven't cleaned this one forever, but unlike some of the ones you've seen in the past where they're scratched up and stuff, well, those are records I had when I was a kid. This is a little more how I tended to keep my records in good shape. Let's test this thing out. First of all, before I do that, I'm going to make sure that the tone arm is properly balanced. So I'm going to take the record off here. We're going to go through the balance procedure on this thing because I haven't done anything to it yet. What I want to do is I want to make it completely level. Right now, it's a little bit bottom heavy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the counterweight ever so slightly until I get to a point where the turntable, the arm just wants to float. So now I'm a little bit too light. As you can see, the arm is going up. So I'm just going to adjust it ever so slightly. The reason it's going backwards like that is because that's the anti-skating. There's a little weight here for that. I'll go into that in a second. But I want to have the arm so that it doesn't drop and it doesn't go up. So there we go, it's hanging pretty level there. Push it down, it'll come up. If I pull it up, it'll go down. So that is pretty darn close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the back of my weight here so that the 0 is on the mark on the back of the arm here. I'll show you. I'm going to do this by holding the back of the weight and rotating till the 0 lines up with the mark on the tone arm. Now I can increase my weight to, this needle requires just a little over 2 grams to track properly. So I'm going to give it maybe 2¼ grams. Now this little weight that you see swinging back and forth here, this is the actual anti-skate control. What it does is it provides, and it's just it is what it seems. It's just a little weight with a piece of fishing line on it, and we can adjust that by moving it back and forth, and that will increase or decrease the weight. And you also move the other end, the little looped end here. This will give it decreased anti-skate, and then this will give it increased anti-skate. So that's, I think it's half, 1, 1.5, 2, and 2.5 grams. Each one of those settings is another ½ gram. So it's set to about 2 grams of back tension. Okay, now let's just get our record on here. And we'll turn on the table. And this takes several seconds to get up to full speed because this is the heavy, this turntable itself, again, I'm guessing around 10 kilos, about 22 pounds. 22.5 pounds or so for the actual platter. So that gives it very good stability against wow and flutter. So this is a manual turntable, so we'll just move our needle out and set it over the record where we want to start. And make sure our cueing arm is up. And let's see, what's a good song to play here? This is as good as anything. Get some volume. Nice noise. Okay, I gotta turn that off there because we don't want the copyright people getting upset with us. We'll try another track here. We'll just pick something else a little further down. Yes, I know the record is filthy, okay? Take me out back and shoot me. This record hasn't been played. It's probably in 25 years, 30 years. I just pulled it out of my collection. I did not clean it before this. So yes, it is dirty as anything. Here's the cueing arm. We can move it out to the next track here. The next band, as they say. Little Bachman Turner overdrive here. This is a nice, a very nice table. Yes, I have been listening to this album here, complete with all the scratches on it, but yeah. Now, listen to this. I can hear the motor on this thing. Interesting. Well, this instrumental section of this track has a classic. This is probably one of the best riffs ever on a popular album. You'll remember this one, I'm sure. There it is, the Thorens TO165 belt drive turntable. I'll say this was a gift. This one almost dropped into my lap. I wish that the top cover wasn't beat up as it is, but it's got a few scratches on it, but still a very good table. This is basically the only belt drive turntable I have. Everything I've got is direct drive. And I do hear a bit of rumble from the belt. That belt I put on it was actually a small belt. I did get the FBS because I was concerned about excessive rumble. The thicker belt would provide a little more rumble, so I did get the smaller one. I can still hear a bit of rumble. You know, but that's analog for you, right? That's why direct drive turntables were invented, so that you didn't have any motor noise or rumble or anything. This turntable is actually very well isolated. Take a look at this. The table on this thing here is fully isolated from the bass, right? The arm and the table is isolated, so you shouldn't get that noise, but it's still picking up noise just from the motor itself. That rumble is coming from the motor, and the table itself is very well isolated. It's all spring mounted, but you're still getting just a bit of noise in the background. Anyway. Play out my theme song here. Where are we here? And of course, this being a manual turntable, well, it just does that at the end. That motor noise is actually quite loud. Interesting. It's a different hum depending on what speed it's on. It's almost like it's an induction hum from the motor and not rumble. But definitely it's being picked up by the pickup, and only when the needle is on there. So that noise that we're hearing definitely is being picked up by the actual needle. Interesting. Isn't that weird? The noise is actually being transmitted from the motor. And I can actually feel, it's like a stepper motor almost. If I stop it, I can feel pulsations. That's being picked up. That noise, that vibration, is being transmitted through the belt into the table and causing the big heavy platter here to resonate. I wonder if that's a characteristic of all of these Thorens. This is the first Thorens turntable I've ever had and I've ever repaired. But yeah, that noise is certainly noticeable. Again, that may just be a characteristic of this thing. You notice that if you turn the volume up, if you don't crank the volume up full, like I had it up quite loud in here. If you don't have the volume turned up, you don't hear it. But if you crank the volume up, you certainly do hear that rumble, that's for sure.